He's over 6 feet or nearly 2 meters tall and may not even be a man. Theories range from it being someone with a strange skin condition to a hermit obsessed with the end of the world. The only thing that could be creepier is a clown walking around in the woods. But that would never happen, right? Wrong. Reports have been made by some kids recently who said a clown was inviting them to follow him out into the woods in a small town in North Carolina. But surely it was just a story, right? There aren't really creepy clowns walking around out there randomly, right? Number 8. The Colt family. All families are messed up, yet love each other. But the Colt family took those two qualities to a whole new level. When this clan was tracked down in the woods of Australia, 38 people were found, all of them the products of incest. Women were having children with their full brothers or fathers for 4 generations. As you may have already guessed, a number of these kids had deformities. Many of them also couldn't speak properly and instead spoke in a strange language of their own invention. They had no running water nor access to the outside world, and it was a wonder how they survived living in such conditions. The reasons the police knew to look for them is pretty creepy on its own and sums up just how seriously messed up this family was. A local kid overheard a girl in the woods talking about how her
Look at this, guys.
but they didn't know which of their brothers was the father. I feel really bad for the family counselor that had to sort things out with these poor kids. After all, they were living in total isolation from the rest of the world and grew up thinking that this was totally normal. Number 7. Dead animals. When someone finds a dead animal in the woods, they typically have one of 3 reactions. It's cool, disgusting, or fascinating. But what if you found a pile of more than 250 dead animals out in the woods?
Whoa.
A pile of dogs, cats, rats, mice, deer, foxes, raccoons, and an exotic bird? Yes, that's just what was found in the woods in Virginia. What may have been even creepier is that many of the dogs and cats still had IV catheters in their legs, which indicates that they had been treated at a veterinary hospital before their demise. So how did they end up in the woods? Long story short, a company that was supposed to cremate all of these animals didn't do their jobs. Instead, they dumped them in the woods. It has yet to be revealed to the public exactly why they did that, but I can't think of a single good reason to do such a thing. Number 6. Breathing Earth. When they say that the Earth is alive, they don't mean that it's literally alive and breathing. Yet it seems like that's exactly what a man in Canada seemed to have caught on film. He posted this creepy footage in a Facebook group, but nobody was able to figure out exactly what's happening in the video. One theory is that it's fungus making the Earth move, or else a shallow root system of the trees that's moving in the wind. But no one knows for sure. Carnivorous trees have been mentioned in folklore for many years, but the truth is often stranger than fiction, and myths are often rooted in reality.
Because there's so much garbage and pollution.
We upload amazing fact-filled list videos today. Also, make sure to click that bell icon to stay updated, or you'll be missing out on some amazing knowledge that could have filled your brain. Now let's get back to it. Number 5, the mysterious cabin. While out marking trees on a nature preserve, a Californian worker stumbled across something unexpected. It was a cabin built from plywood that was carefully covered in plastic sheeting, leaves, and branches to protect it from the elements and keep it hidden. It was so well hidden, in fact, that if you were more than 100 feet away from it, you couldn't see it at all. Inside the cabin was a small living room and kitchen, complete with a small library and plenty of canned foods and spices. There was a bench, a rocking chair, a wood-burning stove, and a typewriter, all neatly arranged in the small space. In a raised loft area was a bed. Clearly someone was living here, even though there weren't any signs of travel to and from the cabin in the surrounding woods. The authorities were called in, and since it's illegal to live on public property, they put up a notice giving the owner a few days to vacate. But when they returned when the time was up, they were astonished. The cabin was gone. Not just the things inside, but the whole cabin itself. Once again, there were no signs of travel, which left everyone wondering how on earth the owner managed to carry these large pieces of wood and the heavy stove through the woods completely undetected. The only thing remaining that let the authorities know that someone had been there was a mark on the ground. It was the international symbol for squatters. Number 4, a gravestone. There have been plenty of incidences of graveyards or individual graves being found in the woods. Sometimes these were forgotten graveyards that became overrun by nature, while other times an individual may have been buried far from the churchyard for whatever reason. But one incident stands out as odd because while the body lay peacefully in the cemetery where it belonged, the original gravestone had somehow ended up in the woods. A hiker who goes by the name of Riverwolf found it, and by doing so revived the sad story of the woman who it belonged to. Her real name was unknown, but she went by Mary Holmes while she was in Santa Cruz, California. She had left behind a young daughter as she traveled west, and it was believed to be because Marie was suffering from tuberculosis. She ended up working as a prostitute at a brothel there, and when her sorrow got the best of her, she committed suicide. She was buried in the churchyard, and her headstone was paid for by the other women at the brothel. Years later, it was replaced as the curators believed it to have been destroyed by vandals. That is, until River Wolf found it out in the woods, still in perfect condition, despite being so far from its home. To this day, nobody knows why it was moved or who was responsible. Number 3. Tongues nailed to trees. It's common to see things like posters nailed to trees, but what about tongues? Well, that's exactly what happened in Brooklyn, New York, when visitors to Prospect Park found not one, but 15 cow tongues nailed to trees along a path winding through the woods. If these huge fleshy tongues fastened to tree trunks with nails wasn't creepy enough, the likely reason behind it will make your flesh crawl. Cow tongues are actually part of rituals in several different cults. By nailing them to trees, someone was trying to silence their enemies. That just leaves me with 2 questions. Who performed this ritual, and who were their enemies that they were trying to silence? Yeah. I don't know many people with bovine enemies. Number 2. Explosives. Most of the things you can pick up from the woods
you better be careful with that,
they won't kill you. That wasn't the case with a construction worker in Arkansas, though. He found a live landmine from the Civil War while working, except that he first thought it was a cannonball, so he tossed it in the back of his truck. It wasn't until he got home and was investigating it further that he realized what he had. He immediately called in the police, who sent out a bomb squad and the Air Force. The entire neighborhood ended up being evacuated just to be safe while the mine was safely removed. Luckily, nobody was hurt. In another case of picking things up from the woods, this next finder was not so lucky. Many people put motion sensing cameras in the forest to capture images of wildlife. However, these cameras are expensive but easily stolen. So one man took protecting his belongings a little too seriously and rigged his cameras to explode when tampered with. When a man came across one such camera lying on the trail, he picked it up and gave it to a friend. But when his friend inserted the batteries, it exploded, and he ended up losing his fingers. What may be most terrifying about this is that the man responsible was killed when he fought with the police officers that went to arrest him, so there's no way of knowing if he's got more booby-trapped cameras out there. Before I reveal the number 1 creepiest thing found in the woods, here are a few honorable mentions. A beat-up baby doll head all on its own. There was nothing else nearby that suggested where it possibly could have come from. Then, someone found an abandoned campsite that was made up of a sleeping bag, some food, and a teddy bear. And finally, a really creepy scene. Duct tape and bloody clothes in a shelter off the side of a hiking trail. Now onto our top pick. Number 1. Strange statues. There's no shortage of strange statues that can be found in the woods, including ones made to look like female body parts on big islands. But since those statues apparently disappeared after their discovery, let's talk about this one. What exactly is this statue, and where did it come from? It looks like a bunch of aliens performing some type of ritual. For better or for worse, the truth is a lot less exciting. This statue is one of many that can be found in the woods of Great Britain. It's part of an art exhibition called the Sculpture Park, where you can also find a blue woman holding an umbrella, a lone pair of wheels, and skeletons performing a number of different tasks. If you went to the park on purpose, you'd probably enjoy most of the statues that were there. However, if you came across this place by accident, it would probably leave you creeped out, especially if you arrived at night. Now, before you go, do you know how to survive an elevator crash? Well, you're in luck, because I just finished a video on Question King explaining that very question. Click the video on screen now, it might just save your life. And don't forget to subscribe to Question King. Which one did you think was the creepiest? And what's the creepiest thing you've ever found out in the woods? Let me know in the comments section down below, and thanks for watching.
My tongue hurts. You guys see what on YouTube? Watching.
I need a photographer. Any good? The best.
Guys, we saw this. Peace.
A live broadcast always carries with it the chance of something going horribly wrong, and in these cases, very mysterious creatures were accidentally caught on camera. Hopefully, you'll never find yourself on the wrong side of the lens, just like some of the people on this list. Number 16. This live interview was taken somewhere in South America. Only when the footage was later zoomed in and enhanced were they able to discover something strange in the background.
Bueno, básicamente en eso hemos sido
That looks like an
convocados para la
alien.
realización de
It looks like an alien skateboarding. Right? Mm-hmm.
What looks to be some sort of extraterrestrial creature with arms that are as long as its legs can be seen casually walking towards them. Its motives are unknown, but it does not appear to be alarmed or threatening. If this isn't CGI, then this is certainly a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence captured live. Number 15. A group of forest rangers set up a camera at the Platte River State Fish Hatchery in Michigan to live stream a nest of bald eagles mature. They were never intending to accidentally capture a second, much larger creature. Instead, during the live feed,
Bigfoot.
a giant humanoid figure covered in what appears to be black fur prowls around the forest floor below. It doesn't look like any other native forest animal, as it clearly stands upright and swings its arms while walking. Maybe it's a person in a full bodysuit, or maybe it's an actual Bigfoot. Then again, since numerous other Bigfoot sightings have been reported in the state over the years, it could very well be legit. Number 14. This aerial footage was broadcast live during a period of bad weather in Hebron, Ohio. Take a look at this flooded neighborhood and tell me if you see anything abnormal lurking in the dirty brown water.
Here with some specialist call markers. If you want to stay on and have a listen, Carl's looking at
A worm-like creature appears to wind its way around a house shortly before the camera zooms out. While this could be an ordinary piece of driftwood, from the way it's moving in the water, I wouldn't be surprised if the floodwaters caused some sort of giant parasite to emerge from the sewers below. Number 13. This soccer match appears to be interrupted by a creature from another dimension. One team is about to go for a penalty kick when a strange white figure literally runs through everyone in the crowd without slowing down. I heard that this kind of effect could be a camera malfunction, but since everyone on the field is standing still, then I don't understand how this kind of glitch can happen. If someone has an explanation for this situation, then please let me know, because this definitely looks like it could be some sort of transparent creature to me. Number 12. This video was streamed live during the 2014 tsunami in Japan. While this man reports the rushing waters wash away his neighborhood, he sees what could be a strange creature briefly climb a building and disappear. Watch again in slow motion and tell me if you see the white creature.
Well, it's just a hole.
right there.
Yeah, there's a hole.
I personally think that it could just be a wave, but I'm not sure. Look closely and you'll see how the wave suddenly seems to change course in midair and go onto a roof instead. I know that tsunamis have a tremendous amount of force, so maybe this is just what happens when a strong wave hits. On the other hand, the person who recorded this video swears that it was a well-camouflaged creature. I'd like to know if you think he is right. Number 11. This video was streamed live from Telemark, Norway. A YouTuber named Odins2 sees a gigantic disturbance in the water, so he pulls over and starts recording. This is what he sees. It starts out as a long and skinny, shimmering mass, but after a while it really starts to take form, especially in the center, possibly as the monster rises very close to the surface.
What?
Right there.
Since there are no boats nearby and the water is mostly calm, Many people suspect that this is a famous legendary sea serpent named Seljord, which is Norwegian for Selma. It's kind of like Norway's version of the Loch Ness Monster. I guess it could just be fishing nets or a long string of garbage instead, but it's hard to tell for certain. Maybe someone out there with fishing experience can let me know if it looks like any of those things.
It's gonna be the creeps,
Number
right?
10, the Myrtles Plantation in Louisiana
Navigate this guy. Yeah, it's the same. Don't do that. I'm watching the creep show one again. Oh, it's just an ad. I don't care.
It goes on clear and keeps you fresh all day, and it doesn't leave white marks on your shirt. Gillette Clear Gel Anti-Perspirant.
Okay, so how does this thing work? I'm getting really bad vibes right now.
Shut up, Gunner. You are enemy.
Tell me what it is.
What's going on, guys? I am Matthias, and welcome to 10 strange eBay items that Gunner here found on eBay. That's right, Gunner joining us from
Guys, this is Team Edge. Subscribe to Team Edge.
But Gunner, you got these products.
No, you're the call.
You just need a bathroom. Don't touch my plushie.
They nailed it, or whether these
I'll
products
be angry.
failed.
I have to
Alright?
pee.
So hopefully,
Can you be quick?
I know you're
I
sensitive.
can't go quick. Pee won't let me. I'll pee in my underwear.
Alright, guys, so before we get into those creepy, scary products, whatever they happen to be, for me, please click that bell icon to get notified of our
Peace.
videos, because you're gonna want to see them and not miss them, because I come back.